are the sources of human rights? Sources of human rights, International Bill of Human Rights. First, we do have Universal Declaration of Human Rights. Second, we have International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights. Third one is we have International Covenant on Economic, Social, and Cultural Rights. However, we do have a subsequent international human rights documents. We have International Covenant on the Elimination of All Forms of Racial Discrimination. We have Convention of the Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination against Women. We have Convention of the Rights of the Child, and we have Convention against torture and other cruel, inhuman, or degrading treatment of punishment. What are the basic of principles of human rights? Human rights are inalienable. They should not be taken away, except in specific situations and according to due process. For example, the right to liberty may be restricted if a person is found guilty of a crime by a court of law. Human rights are inherent human rights, are birthright. They belong to the individual person or reason that he or she is a human being. Human rights are fundamental. Without human right, a person's life and dignity would be worthless and meaningless. Moreover, human rights are imprescriptible. Human rights are not lost by mere passage of time. Human rights do not prescribe even if a person fails to use or was prevented from asserting them. Human rights are indivisible. It is manifestation that a person cannot be denied or deprived of his or her human rights, notwithstanding that he or she has already enjoyed or is already enjoying other rights. Human rights are universal. It is endowed in every human being from the moment of birth, without distinction or irrespective of religion, origin, sex, race, creed, political color, status, or condition in life. Human rights are interdependent. The fulfillment, enjoyment, or exercise of a particular right cannot be attained without realization of the other rights. Human rights are equal to all. Even the law of nature made manifest this basic principle by the fact that all human beings, male or female, are both naked and helpless.
The human rights framework is designed to be legally, politically, and morally binding set of principles for governance. A distinction must be made between legally binding practice, covenants, statutes, protocols, and conventions, and political statements such as declarations and principles. The 1948 Universal Declaration on Human Rights is by far the most widely accepted definition of human rights, encompassing civil and political as well as economic, social, and cultural rights, all sharing the principles of universality and invincibility. Its principles have subsequently been further developed in a range of international human rights instruments, most of which have been accepted by most states, others not. These instruments define specific standards for women, children, disabled persons, migrant workers, and other vulnerable groups, as well as collective rights for minorities and indigenous groups. Under the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, there are at least 30 articles, and its first 18 articles are all about civil rights, stating that every individual is guaranteed from the abuses of state agents in the exercise of the state three inherent power, namely police power, eminent domain, and power of taxation. So this police power is wherein the states guarantee the law enforcers the authority to make laws and regulations for the purpose of preserving public health, order, or safety. The eminent domain refers to the state having the power to take private property and change it into public use purposes. And lastly, we have the power of taxation, is where the state have the authority to lay, impose, and collect taxes. On the other hand, the articles from 19 to 21 is all about political rights. So political rights refer to an individual's ability to participate in the civil and political life of the society and state without fear of discrimination or repression, and is tied closely to citizenship status. Political rights also pertains to every individual's rights to participate in any civil and political life of the society and the state wherein no one is afraid of being discriminated. And the remaining articles are all about the economic, social, and cultural rights, which are the type of human rights that assures us the condition we need to live a life of dignity, where every individual can obtain well-being, realization of their potential, and having the opportunity to seek happiness and fulfillment each of us deserves. The power of the Universal Declaration is the power of ideas to change the world. It inspires us to continue working to ensure that all people can gain freedom, equality, and dignity. The Universal Declaration of Human Rights is a historic document which outlines the rights and freedoms everyone is entitled to. The Bill of Rights. So the Bill of Rights lists both civil liberties and civil rights. When we refer to the liberties and rights of the Constitution, we mean the protection enshrined by the Bill of Rights. Civil rights and civil liberties are guaranteed to the people as per the Constitution. They are well defined in the Constitution. So civil rights are those that are guaranteed by a government for the protection of its citizens in respect to guaranteeing fairness. It contains 22 sections. So the first section is the right to liberty, life, and property. You should not deprive of your life, liberty, and property. Section 2. Rights against unreasonable searches and seizures. An arrest warrant is a document issued by a judge or magistrate that authorizes the police to take someone accused of a crime into custody. On the other hand, a search warrant is a warrant signed by a judge or magistrate authorizing law enforcement officer to conduct a search on a certain person, a specified place, or an automobile for criminal evidence. Section 3. Every person has the right to keep his communication as secret. Section 4. Freedom of speech, right to a free press. Section 5. Freedom of religion. Section 6 is the liberty of abode and right to travel. Section 7 is the right to information. Section 8, right to form associations. Section 9, right to just and compensation. Section 10, non-impairment clause. Section 11, free access to court. Section 12, right to person under custodial information. Ay, balik so. Section 12, right of person under custodial. Section 12, right of person under custodial investigation. Section 13, it is a right to bail and excessive bail. Section 14, rights of the accused. Section 15, writ of habeas corpus. Section 16, right to speedy disposition of cases. Section 17, right against self-incrimination. Section 18, right to political beliefs and aspirations. Section 19, the prohibition against cruel, degrading, or inhumane punishments. Section 20, non-imprisonment for debts. Section 21, right against double jeopardy. And lastly, we have the Section 22, the ex post facto law and bail of offender.
Under the Section 4 of Article 132, Interruption of Religious Worship of Revised Penal Code of the Philippines states that the penalty of prison correctional and its minimum period shall be imposed upon any public officer or employee who shall prevent or disturb the ceremonies or manifestations of any religion. If the crime shall have been committed with violence or threats, the penalty shall be prison correctional in its medium and maximum periods. And in Article 133, offending the religious feelings, the penalty of arresto mayor in its maximum period to prison correctional in its minimum period shall be imposed upon anyone who, in a place devoted to religious worship or during the celebration of any religious ceremony, shall perform acts of notoriously offensive to the feelings of the faithful. The crime committed by any person, a public officer, or a private person who performs acts notoriously offensive to the feelings of the faithful which are committed either. The 1987 Constitution established a representative democracy with power divided among three separate and independent branches of government, such as executive, bicameral legislature, and the judiciary. Furthermore, in accordance with Article 8 Declaration of Principles and State Policies in Section 6, stated that the separation of church and state shall be inviolable. Most importantly, the Declaration, the Constitution, and the Bill of Rights are based on the idea that all people have certain fundamental rights that governments are created to protect. They believe that natural rights are inherent in all people by virtue of their being human and that certain of these rights are unalienable, meaning they cannot be surrendered to government under the circumstances. At the same time, the Declaration, the Constitution, and the Bill of Rights are different kinds of documents with different purposes. The Declaration was designed to justify breaking away from a government. The Constitution and Bill of Rights were designed to establish a government. The Declaration and Bill of Rights set limitations on government. The Constitution was designed both to create an energetic government and also constrain it. Despite these similarities and differences, the Declaration, the Constitution, and the Bill of Rights are in many ways are symbols of the liberty that allows us to achieve success and of the quality that ensures that we are all equal in the eyes of the law.
Good morning.